Hi, I'm Pam, and this is my monthly update video letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of January. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I hope you're doing well. January was a pretty good month. I finished up my end of the year content and put out my best games of 2024 a few days into January, which I honestly think is the best time to do it because it gives me time to play games that released up until December. If you haven't seen that video yet, definitely check it out. I'm pretty proud of that one. Also, what else happened? Michelle and I had a new episode of Point and Drink Adventure, which came out in January. This was a particularly fun one because Michelle was visiting me here in Toronto, so we got to record an in-person episode, which is always more fun. Also, Lily does make an appearance in the video. I know people like that, and she doesn't like making appearance in these videos anymore, so check that out. It's also a very long one. It's like a 2-hour episode. I feel like the podcast length is just creeping up and up and up, partially because we tend to take more time between episodes. We have so many things to talk about. And finally, I hit 100,000 subscribers at the beginning of January, which is exciting. I'm super happy about that. Thank you so much to everyone who subscribes here. And that's going to take me right into pickups for the month because I have already received my plaque for 100,000. I'm pretty sure that they shrunk these. I think they used to be a bit bigger than this, but it's fine. It's pretty cheap feeling, honestly, but it's nice to have. I do like the sort of mirror background on it, but it said presented to Cannot Be Tamed for passing 100,000 subscribers. So it's just been sitting in the box since it's been here because I've been waiting to show it off on the video, but I'll find somewhere to put it. Maybe I'll put it back there so you can see it in the background of my videos. But yeah, super excited to have that. And I do actually have another pickup. I got a new vinyl. Michelle brought this for me so that I wouldn't have to pay terrible shipping rates to Canada. This is Fallout Music's More Songs from the End of the World. I do have the first vinyl of this, and this is just music from Fallout 3 and 4, the kind that the stuff that you hear on like the Wasteland radio, sort of all very old-timey stuff like Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby. Comes with a little guide which just goes over all of the songs and has all of the lyrics for the songs. I do really like the music in the Fallout games. I tend to keep it on, and I really love the design of this. It's very, very fitting, I think, for Fallout. So yeah, excited to have that. Add that to the collection since it has been a little while since I got a new vinyl. All right, now on to what I've been playing. The first game that I beat in January is called The Exit 8. I played this when Michelle was here. Dylan, Michelle, and I all sort of sat down on the couch and played it together. It's sort of like a spot the difference or spot the anomaly kind of game. You start out in, I always assumed it was a subway station, but you're just in an underground tunnel somewhere, and there's various like signs and lights, and there's a guy that walks past you. So you go through, you walk down to the end of this hallway, and then it loops around. And then what you're basically doing is looking for anomalies. So maybe a sign has changed, or maybe the floor tiles look different, or maybe the man who's walking by is much bigger than he was last time. So basically, if you see a difference, you have to turn around and go the opposite direction. Whereas if everything looks okay, you just continue on forward, and you need to make it through basically 8 loops of this in order to complete the game. If you're very good at it or very lucky, like this would take you 10 minutes to beat this game. We ended up playing it for about an hour because we definitely were missing things here and there. But it was an interesting game, especially nice to have a few extra sets of eyes on it. This game was released in 2023 by Kotake Create. But yeah, it was pretty fun, a very sort of lightweight, quick kind of game to play. Also, as this new year has started, I've been having a hankering to replay some of my old favorite games a lot. So something that I have been playing and have finished is Rayman Legends. Dylan and I have been playing this together because you can play it all co-op, which is really nice. Rayman Legends is like my favorite platformer ever. It was made in 2013 by Ubisoft Montpellier, and I just love everything about the game. The musical levels that end off each world are like some of my favorite levels in all of gaming. I love the art, I love the music, the little sound effects, the ooh when you find a secret, just all the collectibles you can get. So Dylan and I went through the whole game together and we finished it up. But as I was playing, I was thinking, I've never 100% this game. Like, I've never gotten every single trophy, got to the maximum level of awesomeness. And part of the reason for that is actually my singular complaint about Rayman Legends, and that's that you only get one save slot. So I have a tendency to like restarting games a lot when I play them. So I've overwritten my saved file so many times, so I've never gotten to the point where I'm like getting up to anywhere near the 100%. So I decided I would start my game again, going for every trophy that you can get, doing all of the invasion painting. So I've sort of been going through kind of at my own pace, going from world to world, making sure to complete every level in its entirety and doing all the collectibles. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. A lot of the invasion painting ones, they're time-based ones. Some of them are really challenging. Like, the game as a whole isn't that challenging for a platformer. It's especially forgiving in that there's no lives or anything, none of that nonsense to make you just restart levels for no reason at all. It's just a really fun game, and I'm so slowly making my way through trying to get everything. I also played through Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector, which was one of my most anticipated games from this year. The first Citizen Sleeper was my favorite game of 2022 when it came out, so I was very excited. This came out just January 31st, I think, by Jump Over the Age. I got a review code for it, and it was really nice that I got the review code very early. Like, I felt like I had almost a full month to play the game before making a video on it. So I do have a video on it. You can check that out. I'll leave a link to it if you haven't seen it yet. But overall, I thought it was a really good game. Citizen Sleeper sort of combines a visual novel with like a dice playing role-playing game. You play a sleeper who's owned by a corporation, but you've made an escape. And in this one, you're on the run, and you have a ship, and you're sort of jumping from system to system, meeting new people, gathering a crew of companions. They really did a good job in changing and adding to the mechanics that it does feel like a different game. Like, it doesn't just feel like more Citizen Sleeper 1. They really add a bunch of new mechanics regarding, having a crew, stress levels, glitch dice. They do a great job. The writing, as with the first game, is absolutely top notch. I was very enthralled the whole time. There's a lot of decision making when it comes to what you're gonna do, what your plans are, who your friends are, how much you help them out, who you decide to trust and sort of make part of your family. And yeah, I really liked it. I think I liked the first one more. I actually liked the single location of the first game more than the sort of traveling from planet to planet. I just sort of like that sort of more grounded story a bit more. And also just the first one was like very new and a novel concept. And even though they took it and really added to it, it just sort of lost a bit of that novelty that the first one has. But either way, really great game, and I recommend both Citizen Sleeper games. I also played another 2024 Metroidvania. I actually started this one just at the end of 2024, but it was after I made my Metroidvanias video. A few people recommended this to me. It's called Moonlight Pulse. It is by Seafloor Games, And this is interesting because you play as 4 different characters throughout the game. So you don't always have all 4. You sort of gather people with them with you as you go. Sometimes someone will like leave and come back later. But each character has their own type of attack. Each character has their own movement ability. So a lot of the fun and challenge comes from switching between characters. So sometimes there's even platforming segments where you'll need to use one character's movement ability and then like switch midair and use the next character's movement ability, which was a nice little challenge that I really enjoyed. It's got very nice pixel art. The whole story is you are living inside of a giant turtle and I forget what they're called, but you're like helper cells. You're trying to keep the turtle healthy against this invasion that is happening within it. And I really like the game. I did find story-wise a little too talky for my personal taste. Like I didn't care that much about what the characters were saying to each other. But the gameplay was really fun. I enjoyed the platforming. The bosses could be quite fun. And again, switching in between characters, you can do not only which character has the best attack, but also like, uh-oh, this one's getting low on health. And then you can switch to another one to sort of continue on with the fight. You can you have like a certain number of resurrections as you go, which increases. So a character can die during a fight and it will come back after a certain amount of time, which was pretty fun. My biggest complaint about it was the fast travel system. Since you're going through this turtle, I think you're basically going through either its bloodstream or its airways, but it's got a circulatory system going through it, and you can jump in at certain places and then you'll go and like, oh, do you want to go left? Do you want to go right? Do you want to get off here? Do you want to keep going? And that was an interesting idea, but it also ended up being the most frustrating point of the game for me, because if you made a mistake and said, oh, go right when you actually wanted to go left, since it was a one-way trip, it often involved like a lot of tedious backtracking to get back to where you wanted to go. So that was a bit annoying, and I would have enjoyed a more functional, if less narratively relevant kind of fast travel system in the game. But that was sort of my biggest complaint. Otherwise, I thought it was a lot of fun. It looked good, it played well, and the instant character switching was a lot of fun. And then another Metroidvania that I played, which was also a game that I was greatly anticipating because I really liked the original, is Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist. This is the sequel to Ender Lilies. It just came out in January as well, and it is by AdGlobe and Livewire. In this one, you play a little girl again, and rather than collecting spirits, you're collecting homunculi, they basically work the same way as spirits. So your character herself runs through the world, but any of her attacks come from these homunculi that you equip. So you've got 4 different buttons that you use, and so there's like a main attack, which is like fast, has no cooldown. There's cooldown-based attacks. There's a passive attack, like you can have one that just sort of flies around behind you and shoots at whatever's near it. And then there's a 4th one. Why am I having trouble thinking what the 4th one is? But then there's a 4th one, and each homunculus that you have also has 3 different abilities that you can use. You can level up those abilities and you can equip them as you like. Like if you want to, you can have 2 primary abilities and 2 passive abilities and not equip any cooldowns if that's what you want. So it's really customizable in terms of how you play the game. They made a lot of improvements over the first game, specifically around the map. The map in the first game was a functional map, but it kind of looked like a flow chart. It just wasn't very attractive, and it didn't really, it was just boxes. It didn't show the shape of the room nicely. This one is way better. The map is beautiful this time around. Movement is also better. One of my main complaints in the first game was that for a little while, You had a dodge that was basically the girl just like throwing herself onto the ground, and that was very awkward feeling. Here, your dodge is not that bad, but a little awkward at first, but then within 15 or 20 minutes, you get like a proper like dash through enemies that feels really good. This was just a great game to play. Like, it just had me hooked. It really helped that I was sick for a while, so I ended up just staying on the couch or in bed being sick and playing this game almost all day on a Saturday and a Sunday. So I got through this in a couple days. It's also one that's fairly rewarding and fairly easy to 100%. So I beat the final boss, and then I went back, did everything, got my 100%, and then went for the second ending as well. Like, it was one where I really felt like compelled to get everything that there was to be done in the game. The boss fights are cool. I really liked the world, like exploring and finding new things and finding the secret walls and figuring out how to use your various movement abilities and some clever ways to use them for some particularly challenging collectibles was a lot of fun. Yeah, Ender Magnolia was a really great time. Like, I had a lot of fun. Also, I do have a full review of Ender Lilies from a few years back if you want to check out that. Also, may as well stay on Metroidvanias now, as I was saying about wanting to replay older favorites, even though this isn't really an older favorite, but I've been wanting to get 100% on Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, so I started a new game which I've been going through, you know, at a leisurely pace, trying to just get every collectible, especially since they added treasure maps that show the locations of all the collectibles on the map. It's very helpful, which wasn't there when I originally beat the game. Also, they put out some DLC. One's called The Mask of Darkness, which is a whole side story, sort of side area, so I decided I would go through that, and I beat that this past weekend, which was a lot of fun. So in the new area, it takes most of your abilities away from you and your health potions and things. There's a bit of combat with new enemy types, but I say that the focus is definitely more on platforming. It introduces new mechanics, such as these sort of pillars that you can climb up and spin, some rotating lasers that you have to avoid. There's some enemies that make you parry not enemies, but like traps that make you parry a number of times in order to successfully disable them. One of those sections was definitely the hardest bit for me. Just really interesting platforming challenges where one platform appears, and then as you jump off it, a new platform appears, and sometimes they can sort of be a little tricky in terms of where they're going to be. I had a lot of fun with it. There was a couple really tricky sections, but generally I thought the difficulty of it was pretty much in line with the rest of the game. It was nice to have, you know, a few new mechanics introduced into it, and also broke up a little bit of my main replay that I've been going through. Also played a game called Time Trap Hidden Objects. I think this was a remaster. It's a 2024 game by Two Cake Studio. Sometimes I really like a hidden object game, but my main problem with most of them is that they try to put in a story and a bunch of mediocrely acted dialogue and writing, and also a whole bunch of other puzzles that are not hidden objects. So this was nice because while there was technically a story, it was just like a page of text every once in a while, which was very easy to ignore. This was 95% just, here's a screen, find these objects, which is exactly what I was looking for. Sometimes I just want to play something like that while I listen to a 6-hour and 40-minute video retrospective on the entire Dragon Age series, which fit very nicely, although the game was way shorter than the video, so I'm still working my way through that. But yeah, this was good if you like just hidden objects. The only other puzzle type was like rearranging a photo that had been scrambled, which I'm also okay with. So yeah, not a whole lot to say about hidden object games, but if you like them and just want that, then I enjoyed this one. And the last thing that I just beat last night is The Casting of Frank Stone. This is a 2024 game by Supermassive Games. Dylan and I have been playing this together. Actually, I don't think it took us too long. It was only over like a week or two that we ended up playing it. I generally like the Supermassive games. Like, I loved The Quarry, Until Dawn. The Dark Pictures anthology were a bit of a step down, but there were one or two of those that I liked. This one was another getting up to sort of full-size game. This was a collaboration with Dead by Daylight, which I know of, but I've never played. I don't know a whole lot about it. But it was set in that world, and it starts out with a group of teenagers who's making a movie in a murder mill, which is a place where this guy named Frank Stone had been murdering people for some reason. And it all goes back and forth between the past and then present day, where some of those people or relations to those people have been called to a big mansion for some mysterious reason. This is one where you can play multiplayer, so you can pass the controller back and forth, and each person controls different people. This was, I think, the worst Supermassive game that I've played for a number of reasons. First, I don't really know Dead by Daylight, and I feel like I needed to. I feel like they didn't really explain a lot of what was happening in the game and I felt like there was also probably just like a lot of little references that I was missing because I don't play that game. But mostly, there wasn't a lot to do. Like, in terms of actual interactions with the game, I know these are very cinematic heavy games, but most of them give you more like time to wander around and look at things and make decisions and do quick time events. And here I felt like actual actions were few and far between. Sometimes we would hand off the controller because it'll put your character on the screen, it'll be like, Pam, it's your turn. It's like, okay, it's my turn. And then it was just a cutscene. And then it would be like, Dylan, it's your turn. I was like, why did you even make me pick up the controller? I didn't do anything during that scene. So just very little to do. Even sometimes when you're wandering around, you can pick up an item, and sometimes they'll give you something to read. And a lot of time they just pick it up and they're like, and then they put it down. It's like, you couldn't have written a line of dialogue or something to tell me what I'm looking at. So yeah, it was unfortunately a bit disappointing. At the end, it didn't seem like a whole lot of the few decisions that we made really mattered all that much. So yeah, unfortunately, this one was one that I can't recommend anyone else play. Basically, any other of the Supermassive games would be a better option. Alright, so those are my updates for January. Leave me a comment, let me know what you've been playing, if you've got any interesting pickups that you want to share. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. If you want to see more, go check out my Best Games of 2024 video or another of my videos. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.